Hold on. My niece Ashley, who very much posted her videos on social media with some accusations about her family.
This was not the first time of me telling this story. This has been years. It started me telling this story when my sister passed away. So this is like years of me getting to this point, to this layer. I always stand true by what I said. I always stand true by what happened. And I don't know if there was a right or wrong way, the way I handled it. I don't think that there was. And with what I speak with my therapist with, there was no right or wrong way to tell the story. I just had to tell the story.
All right, let's dive back into this because honestly, the more layers we peel back, the messier this whole thing gets. So if you've been following along, you know Ashley just dropped another video. And this one hits differently. It's a follow-up to everything she said before. About her trip to the United States, about sitting down with the Braxton family, about finally being given what looked like a platform to tell her truth. But let's start from the top, because context is everything here. Ashley didn't just book a random flight to the States for a vacation. No, Tamar Braxton, yes, that Tamar Braxton, paid for Ashley to fly out. The whole trip was arranged, so Ashley could appear on Tamar's podcast. That was the plan. That was supposed to be the moment where Ashley finally got to sit across from family, speak her truth, and maybe, just maybe, get some kind of acknowledgement or resolution. And look, Ashley played her part beautifully. She was gracious, she was grateful, she publicly thanked Tamar. She thanked the entire Braxton family for even extending the invitation in the first place. She showed up with good faith. But here's where it all starts to unravel. We never saw the episode. Yeah, you heard that right. The podcast interview never aired. The conversation that was supposed to be the whole point of this trip disappeared, gone, like it never even happened. So naturally, people are asking, why? What was the point of flying Ashley out there if nothing was ever going to see the light of day? What was discussed behind those closed doors that made this entire thing get shelved? And here's where the speculation gets real interesting. Word is, after Ashley's father sent out a cease and desist letter, everything just stopped. The episode got pulled, the story got buried again.
And it may not be your family, and that is totally okay. I am an example of that. You may not get support from your family, and that is totally fine. You still have the right to use your voice. You still have the right to talk. You still have the right to say how you feel. The world will try to silence you. People will try to silence you. But the world needs your voice and not your silence.
Now, I don't know about you, but that feels awfully convenient, doesn't it? Like every time Ashley gets close to being heard on a bigger platform, suddenly there's legal action. Suddenly there's pushback. Suddenly the conversation gets shut down. And honestly, I'm not even convinced much of substance was said in that room anyway. Because here's the part that keeps gnawing at me. Despite everything that's come out about Ashley's father, despite all the different people from different parts of the family who've hinted at issues, who've raised concerns, who've pointed fingers, the family still seems to be protecting him.
On and he found someone else and he married my stepmom. But it was not a good relationship. He was physically abusive to her.
Okay.
And then she was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive to my sister and I.
Think about that for a second. Multiple people, multiple stories, multiple red flags, and yet the circle closes tighter around him every single time. It's like there's this unspoken agreement to keep things quiet, to keep things internal, to not let the full truth come crashing out into public view. But Ashley, she's done with that game. In her newest video, she's not just venting, she's not just angry, she's speaking with purpose. And one of the most powerful things she brings up is the importance of mothers, of aunts, of the women in a family choosing to listen, especially, and I cannot stress this enough, especially when it's a child trying to tell you something. Because let's not forget, Ashley was a child when all of this started. She was a teenager, a young girl navigating something incredibly painful and confusing, and she didn't have the tools, the support, or the safe space to process it. She says it herself in this video. She didn't feel safe, not even in her own family. She didn't feel like there was anyone she could turn to who would actually hear her, who would believe her, who would protect her. Instead, she was met with silence, with dismissal, with pressure to keep quiet and not rock the boat. And for years, Ashley carried that weight, alone, in the dark, forced into a corner where speaking up felt more dangerous than staying silent. Can you even imagine what that does to a person, especially a young person who's still figuring out who they are and what they deserve? But here's the thing, and this is what makes Ashley so incredibly brave. She's not telling her story just for herself anymore. She's doing it for other people, for anyone out there who who feels trapped by their own trauma, for people who've been carrying secrets that are eating them alive, for survivors who think that speaking up will cause more harm than good, so they just don't. Ashley's message is clear. Release it. Let it out. Tell your truth. Take back your power. And you know what? I'm right there with her. If you're holding on to something that's controlling your life, that's keeping you stuck, that's making you feel small and powerless, speaking it into existence can be the most liberating thing you ever do. It won't be easy. It won't be comfortable. People might not believe you. People might turn against you. But your truth is yours, and no one has the right to keep you silent. Now here's the part that really gets me. The part that makes Toni Braxton's recent reaction so perplexing. Ashley didn't just start talking about this last month. She didn't suddenly come out of nowhere with some shocking new allegations that nobody's ever heard before. Knowing Ashley has been telling this story for years, literally years. She's been open about her experiences. She's been consistent in what she said. She's been vocal. She's been clear. And she's been public about it. So when Toni Braxton steps into the spotlight, acting completely blindsided, acting like she has no idea what Ashley's talking about, publicly questioning the validity of Ashley's story like it's some brand new accusation, that's not just surprising, that's suspicious. Because how do you not know? How do you claim ignorance when the story's been circulating for years? When Ashley's been saying the same thing over and over to anyone who'll listen? Unless, and here's the uncomfortable truth, unless you chose not to listen back then too. And that's really what this all boils down to, isn't it? Who gets believed? Who gets heard? Who gets protected? And who gets thrown under the bus to keep the family image intact? Ashley's not asking for the world here. She's not demanding some huge public apology or a reality TV special or a payout. She's asking for something far simpler and somehow far harder to give. She's asking to be listened to. She's asking to be taken seriously, to be validated, to not be erased or gaslit or dismissed as some bitter, attention-seeking troublemaker. She was a child. She went through something traumatic, and instead of being protected, she was silenced. And now, as an adult, she's finally breaking that silence. Not for revenge, not for clout, but because she deserves to be heard, and because staying quiet was slowly killing her. So whether the Braxtons are ready to face that uncomfortable truth or not, are they ready to stop protecting the person who hurt her and start protecting her? That's on them. But Ashley, she's already done her part. She's already spoken. She's already laid it all out there, and the world is watching.
Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me, who's been commenting, who's been sharing, who's been telling me stories and writing to me and just being so supportive. I appreciate you so much, way more than you know. It got to be a little bit, and that's to be expected for those of you who just think that I'm just chaos for this. And I did want to come back on and just say that I really hope that this prompted you to have a conversation with your own family, and that you decided to give your family or your friends or whoever it is a safe space to be able to talk about this in these conversations. Because we normally, typically, and I'm talking about from the African American community, we really decide to sweep these things under the rug, and we have to stop doing that, and we have to have these conversations. We have to talk about these things in these situations. As much as sometimes I feel like it was negative, it was positive in the sense that we actually had these conversations. So that I'm really grateful for. And another thing that I want to say is that telling your story after being silenced is not an easy task. I wish that I could just beautifully talk about the situation and it makes sense and everything, every piece is put together. It's not how it works. When you've been silenced and when you start telling your story, it's like peeling an onion. Sometimes the first time you tell the story, it's messy, pieces aren't together, but you're finally using that part of your voice to start speaking. And then you peel the next layer off, and it gets even easier to talk about. So I wanted to showcase that in itself so that whoever is going through what I'm going through, whoever's been silenced, but they're learning to use your voice, you can understand too that it's not a journey that's just an easy journey. It's something that you have to work on and work towards. And the more you tell your story, the better you get to tell the story. I don't even know if I want to get into it all again, just because there's a lot of things that go into deciding to tell your story. When you decide to tell your story, it's going to affect somebody else, and someone else can feel hurt, and someone else can feel betrayed, and it can lead to so many things. But for me, I am so happy. I feel freer. My voice feels easier. My throat feels lighter. I don't know. I just feel like I don't have to carry this anymore, because A, it was never mine to carry in the first place. But I just feel so much lighter. I just feel free, and I'm proud of myself, actually, for what I've done, because it was not easy. It's not easy to do it, but it's also not easy to do it when your family is who they are with the platforms that they have, and then putting it on the TV show. And I also want to commend my own family for doing that as well, because we are really showing you, like, what is real life? This is real life. Families go through things. It's ups, it's downs. It's not always easy. It's not always a trajectory to the moon or at an incline of greatness. You have your ups and you have your downs. And so I also appreciate them for even putting it on the show. And as much as a bad rap that it's getting, I really hope, and I've seen it, that we're having these conversations about this topic. It's so important. This was not the first time of me telling this story. This has been years. It started me telling this story when my sister passed away. So this is like years of me getting to this point, to this layer. I always stand true by what I said. I always stand true by what happened. And I don't know if there was a right or wrong way, the way I handled it. I don't think that there was. And with what I speak with my therapist with, there was no right or wrong way to tell the story. I just had to tell the story. And I knew that I was going to get repercussions, and I knew that I was going to get backlash, and I knew that I wasn't always going to be supported, but it wasn't about anybody else. It was all about me. And now there's this part of me that's just prepare my body for kids, that I just get to pass on a legacy to my kids where I'm not holding on to that anymore. It's not inside of me. It doesn't live within me. And I always want my kids to have something better than what I had. Truly, I've forgiven everybody in this situation. It's something that for me is in the past. I believe that a lot of people were hurt. I'm not the only victim in this situation. But I just really hope that if you're a mom, if you're an aunt, if you're a woman, that you can make the choice to just listen to the other person, or the child actually in this situation, because it was a child, that you're able to sit with the child, give them a safe space to talk, listen to them, and make a judgment of how to handle the situation that gives the child safety. I didn't have safety within my family or within my home. I didn't have I wasn't safe. I was not safe. I don't ever want another woman to feel like that, especially if you're a kid and something happened to you that you didn't ask for and you've just had to deal with it. And I think that anybody who has been silenced, who has had something happen to them, I just hope that my story shows you that it's not always easy. But I still hope that you find the courage to do it, even though sometimes it's not going to go how you plan it, even though people are not always going to support you. You still have to tell your story. And everybody's story is worthy and deserving of being heard. Every single person's story is worthy to be heard. So I just hope that I'm a real example of what happens in any family. Use me as an example of like, what's the worst that can happen? Because it wasn't even that bad, but use me as an example for you if you need to tell your story. Use me. I did this in public so that you could see how it is, so that you can see the journey, you can see my journey. People are going to have their opinions. People are going to say what they're going to say. You're not always going to get the support from the people that you need. You're not always going to get the support from the people that you think you need. But you are going to have support from somebody in the world. And it may not be your family, and that is totally okay. I am an example of that. You may not get support from your family, and that is totally fine. You still have the right to use your voice. You still have the right to talk. You still have the right to say how you feel. The world will try to silence you. People will try to silence you, but the world needs your voice and not your silence. And I will stand by that till the day that I die. So thank you all so much for being here with me, being on this journey with me, watching it. Thanks for the judgment. Thanks for the criticism. Thanks for the people that supported me. Thanks for the people that said, I understand you. Be kind to yourselves. And please, if you have not already own family and asked them about this topic, about this situation, about this, please, I encourage you to do so. And if someone says, yes, this has happened to me and I didn't tell you, please give them a safe space. Please allow people.
Right. And did you have contact with mum, like after mum had gone?
No. Interesting enough, I never had contact with her. She also has 3 kids.
Wow.
So she moved on.
Yeah.
But I would sometimes see her sister and her mom and her dad sometimes.
Yeah.
I had a girl cousin, but it was always up and down. It was always some sort of a roller coaster. But after that, I never seen her ever again.
Wow. So was it like you sort of like, I know she's out there and there, it kind of through the grapevine, you might hear something like, oh, she's out there doing this, that, and the other, but she's just not reaching out to you.
No, not reaching out at all. And no one talked about it either.
Okay.
And she had asked her family, like her mom, her dad, her family, not to talk about us. So we did not exist.
Wow.
Yeah. And so with my stepmom, it was a really interesting life because for me, I was super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a new mom. And she put her name on our papers and things that.
Okay.
And so there was moments that were great. And I have 2 half brothers. So love them. Everything is awesome. But how do you deal with physical, mental, emotional abuse? I would tell my dad, hey, I'm being abused.
Mm-hmm.
And not, like I wet the bed and I had to lick it up. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I was slapped so hard down the stairs. Or maybe I was punched in my face. Or maybe she held my ear and decided to scream in it for the next 2 minutes. I mean, it kind of was up and down.
Right.
And if I told my dad, then he would come home. He's a nurse.
Right.
So he worked the day shift. He would come home. And at night, it was so traumatic to listen to them physically beating each other in the next room. So what do you do? Do you tell and risk watching someone else get beat? No fun.
Yeah.
And then having the aftermath of it turned onto you. So it's just a never ending cycle. Circle.
In terms of the things that caused animosity between the 2 of them, was that related to the way in which she was treating you and your sister, or was that their own issues that were separate to the rest of the family dynamics?
It was both.
Okay.
It was both. So there would be marital issues that didn't have anything to do with us. But then I don't know why my stepmom, she referred to my sister and I as the N-word.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were the N-word, and we were also referred to as she, they, or them. That was like our names.
Yeah.
And so there was always something that she, they, or them did that perhaps she didn't care for.
Okay.
And then that's how it would transfer.
And what did that do? So you had stepbrothers. Did they come with her? Were they part of the package, or did they come along later?
They came along later.
Okay.
So my sister is 3 years younger than I am. My oldest younger brother is 4 years. And then after that, it's 8 years.
Okay.
So they came after. And it's unfortunate that even now we don't have a relationship because you were just pit against each other.
Yeah.
So the household was like all for one and one for all. You better guard up.
Wow.
And it's not really healthy.
No, definitely not. No. I was wondering, like, what would the effects of those circumstances be on the younger brothers? Because it would be very difficult for them to, I guess, develop respect towards you and your sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't see eye to eye because the way they see life is very different than the way I've seen it. And so for them, it's hard, which is understandable.
Yeah.
When I'm speaking these things about their mother, these are quite harsh accusations.
Of course.
That I'm saying.
Yeah.
And if you were not there to grasp what was happening, then perhaps you think and be like, I think this is a little far-fetched.
Yes.
And that was something that was really hard for me because I come from this family. My stepmom is great at just being the PTA mom. She really was there for us in times of school. And same with my dad. My dad is a nurse. He's established, he's distinguished. So even trying to go to school to talk to the counselor about it, it was always like, are you lying?
Yeah. It from the outside looking in,
right?
It looked like a nice shiny family.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when did you ever have anyone that kind of stepped in and advocated for you or spoke up for you, or a point at which you shared this with someone who took it more seriously?
Mm-hmm. There were some family members that tried their best.
Okay.
Grandma, for instance, and a few of my aunts to come in and step in. But, I'm never angry or upset with them. They tried their best. It was the moment where my dad would come back and say like, hey guys, this is her house too. So they would come up to our house and they would confront my stepmom and be like, what is happening here? Yeah. And when my father then would in return call and say, hey, this is her house, don't show up here this way.
Right.
How does that work? So I had to learn very quickly that it was just me, myself, and my sister. Mm-hmm. And for the longest time, I didn't see that my dad was a part of the picture of the problem.
Yeah.
I just thought it was my stepmom.
Uh-huh.
To have someone even say to you, the reason why your mom left is because of you. And, that was like her fuel as to why we were such bad kids.
Yeah. So
then you just take that on as an adult, and taking that on and not getting the mental health that you need really shapes you into someone who's not really able to function.
Yeah. And you're the oldest, right? You had a younger sister. Do you think that caused you to take this on in a different way?
For sure. And I can remember when all of my siblings at one point were hiding underneath of my bed.
Yeah.
You have so much responsibility because you just want them to be safe. I mean, it's very traumatic listening to your parents physically hit each other or anything. Yeah. But then there's also that weird sense in our family of where one for all. Mm-hmm. So it was really, really hard. But my sister was my best friend through it all.